Hello there, fellow NPCs. I am Corbin Scythe, and I am still fucking sick. We will see how it goes. I am okay enough to do actual recording, but we will see if my quality of the gameplay, is as good as when I'm healthy, you know. My entire apartment is, I turned off all the elements. I have a window open and I'm still sweating. You know, I am not good at the moment. But we are back at Everlasting Summer. We are on day 7. We've just spent the night with Alisa. We will see how day 7 starts out. Let's go. Some people were chasing me. Or maybe they weren't people, but fuzzy black blots with a hellish landscape in the background. I ran, stumbling over something, having no air to breathe. My whole essence was overtaken by primal fear and terror. And then a memory lapse. I opened my swollen eyelids, only for my eyes to be struck by bright daylight. A terrible taste in my mouth, pains all over my body and a severe headache. It seems someone was drinking hard yesterday. After coming to my senses, I started to recall the events of last night. I believe there was a bottle of vodka which I happily emptied together with Alisa. I tried to stand up, but something was pinning my left arm. It was the peacefully snoring Alisa. Naked. Everything that happened returned to my mind. Fear was quickly replaced by a feeling of euphoria. I relaxed lazily on the bed, enjoying a beautiful hungover morning. Sometime later, Alisa woke up. In her bathing suit? They didn't even give you, underwear? I kissed her softly and said, "Good morning." She gave me a blank look for a couple of seconds and then jumped up shouting, You! You! Me what? Realizing that she was kind of naked, Alisa snatched a blanket from me and wrapped herself up. Yesterday, you? She hissed. But it was kind of your idea. I was drunk. So was I. What can you do? Alisa was furiously looking at me, but then calmed down and sat beside me. Alright, whatever happened. You sure? I got up and tried to hug her. Don't. She whispered, blushing. Why? Because... Alisa frantically shook her head. Because it's 4 o'clock already. Oh, we've been sleeping all day. And what? Don't tell me you're late for something. Everyone will leave without us. Leave where? Today is the last day. The last day of what? I asked, completely confused. The last day of the term. What? The hangover that seemed to have already passed a while ago made a sharp comeback. Don't tell me you didn't know, asked Alisa in surprise. So you did know it? Well, yes. But I'd forgotten it somehow. And what should we do now? Actually, that wasn't the main thing that I was concerned about. If today is the last day, then everyone will go somewhere. So I can get out of this camp somehow. Well, I have no idea. Maybe we can still make it. I jumped out of the bed and started dressing quickly. It was difficult as my coordination was badly disturbed by yesterday's lavish indulgence. What are you waiting for? Alisa didn't reply but started dressing too. A couple of minutes later, we were standing at the deserted square. I like this different music, you know? It's very different. Let's go to the camp leader's cabin. After opening Olga Dmitrievna's cabin with my key, I found nobody inside. We checked the entire camp and found that we were alone here. Oh, crap. After returning to the square, I sat down and covered my face with hands like a doomed man. I still felt sick, but now it turned out that I had to solve a serious problem. Where would they have gone? Well, to the district center, I guess. Do you know where it is? Approximately. Is it possible to reach it on foot? Don't know. And how long would it take on a bus? A couple of hours. Ugh, lord. Quickly I reckoned how much that is in kilometers. Taking into consideration the quality of Soviet motorcar industry and Soviet roads, one could presume that it is quite possible to reach it on foot. Provided that Alisa knows the exact direction. Moreover, in my situation, it's not so easy to decide on such steps. But we can't stay here for either. Alone, without food, in a deserted pioneer camp. In real life, it would be a definitely bad idea, and I had no other choice but to treat everything happening as reality. Let's go. Where? To the district center. Are you mad? You prefer to stay here? Sure, they'll notice that we're missing and will return. Don't you think it's odd they didn't notice it during departure? Well, yeah, but... She started to think. But to go somewhere all on her own. But you said you knew the direction. I do. She agreed without confidence. So, what's there to think about? Maybe we'll encounter some local buses on the way. I don't really believe that myself, but if there's an exit from this camp, this idea seems quite solid. I don't know, as you say, she prattled on confusedly. Then start packing your stuff. Meet me here in half an hour. I ran towards Olga Dmitrievna's cabin. Yes, not much to pack. I tossed my warm clothes into a bag and I was about to go when an interesting thought crossed my mind. What would I actually need them for? It doesn't seem to be late summer, so what's the point in dragging unnecessary weight along? Especially since I don't know how far I have to walk. After reasoning that one could survive such a weather without a coat and warm boots, I shoved my cell phone with its dying battery into my pocket and went to the square. I had to wait at least 20 minutes for Alisa. My hangover seemed to ease a little, so I could better focus on the previous night. What does she really mean to me? Was it just drunken sex or something more? Naturally, I can't speak for Alisa. It's difficult even to speak for myself. I began to remember the course of my acquaintances with her, how she teased and mocked me at first, her arrogance and self-confidence. It was more than compensated for by the tenderness of last night. It was already clear that she is not the person she wants to seem like. But what kind of person is the real Alisa? And do I have any feelings towards her? I do feel sympathy, a sort of affection, but is there something more? My reflections were interrupted by Alisa. Here, take it. She held out a huge backpack to me. What's this? I asked skeptically. My stuff. Why so little? I brought as much as I could fit. Look, we don't know how far we have to go. Maybe you can take only the most necessary things. So what, I just have to throw it away? Leave it here? Alisa sniffed. Firstly, I couldn't understand why she even has that much stuff, and secondly, what's so valuable in there. But the chivalrous duty of carrying it is mine, isn't it? Of course. She smiled archly. I evaluated how much it would weigh. About 10 kilos, I guess. I can carry that for a few kilometers, but not much further than that. You do understand that we will not get very far with it. Well, we'll do our best. You mean I can throw something out later? We'll see. She answered with her eyes flashing slyly. Okay, I'm taking you at your word. After all, as I have to carry it, I have the right to throw things out of it. And so our journey began. I think this is the bad ending. I do remember this, and I do believe this is the bad ending. It took me at least an hour to start getting tired. I would never have thought that I possessed such stamina. Either the backpack was easy to carry, or last night's exercises had trained my muscles. Yeah, no, you don't get... you're not that strong after just one night of sex, you know. I stopped on the roadside and threw Alisa's belongings to the ground. What are you doing? She was clearly resentful. Do you want to carry it yourself? Of course not. In that case, I need to rest. Naturally, the most rational decision was to get rid of most of the stuff, keeping only the most necessary things. But I couldn't bring myself to such drastic measures. You've been keeping silent for the whole time. Alisa was staring vacantly down the road that receded into the distance. What is there to talk about? No. But you're behaving as if nothing happened. Did something happen? She asked absent-mindedly. Well, you know. Had enough rest? Then let's go. Alisa began to quickly walk away from me. Hey, wait a minute. I shouldered the backpack and ran after her. We've been traveling in silence for some time, with Alisa slightly ahead and me behind. I had no idea how to start a conversation. She seemed to be giving out obvious hints that the night's events were one big mistake. Ooh. Yeah, that does sound like a bad ending. At least, it seemed so to me. Though, from my point of view, what happened was meant to happen. For the last few days in the camp, I'd definitely been attracted to Alisa. And yet you wanted to go with Lena? I don't understand this reasoning. And I believe she was attracted to me as well. Well, attraction doesn't mean long-term goals, I guess. In that case, what's the problem? Maybe she doesn't want it to be just a one-night stand. You know, she turned and looked at me. If I did something wrong, you did nothing wrong. But it just turned out this way. So it was just an accident? I didn't say that. Then what did you say? My inability to get a straight answer made me begin to lose my temper, and I raised my voice. You're just giving me hints, ambiguities. What about straightforwardness, sincerity? You weren't like this before. People tend to change. She slowly paced forward. Change? You call this a change? You're a completely different person now. Just like Lena, really. Alisa stopped but didn't turn. Don't compare. Got it? Don't compare me with her. She spoke quietly, but there was a rage in her voice. What? I was somewhat taken aback. You blame me for everything, but what about yourself? You're constantly looking at her. Even now you managed to see her in me. Wait, why did you come yesterday? Why did you come yesterday then? You could have gone to her. You did know. Did know what? Did know that I was waiting for you. It seems that making this confession was as hard a decision for Alisa, but at first I assigned a little significance to her words. Well, you yourself told me to come yesterday, so I... This isn't about that! Alisa burst into sobs and covered her face with hands. I was completely taken aback. I still didn't get what she was hinting at, so it was impossible to talk normally. Sorry. Forgive me. Stop apologizing. But if I said or did something wrong, so what's the point in apologizing if I already did? Better to behave yourself from the beginning. But I don't know how. Alisa looked up at me. There was so much sorrow in her gaze that I couldn't bear it and turned away. We stood like that for some time. Soon, she seemed to pull herself back together. Okay, forget it. Let's move on. Naturally, I couldn't forget it even if I wanted to, but I had nothing to say anyway, so I followed her in silence. The sun was slowly moving below the horizon. I was immersed in thoughts and even forgot about that heavy backpack on my back. I had to say something, do something. Alisa is expecting me to. At least a few words. But what should I begin with? I'd gotten used to everything in my life being quite simple. Any task seemed to be already finished after only a few steps. Instead of considering the long way to my goal, I immediately started to think about the results, enjoying an unachieved victory. Moreover, I doubt I had to face a situation like this in the real world. Obviously, for a long time I've dreamed about the person who could care about me. But right now, such a person is in front of me, and yet I feel nothing. And I can't tell Alisa either yes or no, just because I don't know what will happen next. Meanwhile, it got dark. Yeah, that's the thing. If you can't talk response directly to your partner, then it's not a good match, you know? If you are afraid of saying yes, or if you're afraid of saying no, if both of those things are true, then it's not a good relationship. I guess we should make a camp for the night. There's not that much left to go. Are you sure? And even if that's so, it's better to travel during the daytime. You know best, she answered coldly. We stopped at the edge of the wood. Got anything useful in here? I pointed at the backpack. Have a look. Mainly footwear and clothes were there, but on the bottom I found a magazine and a box of matches. Quite enough to light a fire. Soon we were sitting on a fallen tree and warming our hands by the fire. Only now did I realize that I'd finally gotten out of that damn camp. I'd found no answers. On the contrary, everything had become even more tangled, as I guess I am to spend the rest of my life in this reality. If I don't take into consideration all the sci-fi stuff, it's clear that I'm somewhere in the south at the end of the 80s. How and, more importantly, why I was brought here is not important now, as I have to somehow adapt. And I thought to begin with a girl sitting by my side. So, what will we do when we reach the district center? Call our parents. What else? Alisa smiled slightly. She had someone to call. And then it's all over. Meaning, well, we leave for our homes. I wasn't really surprised by this answer. I just had a thought about that would happen after the term ended. And that's it. What else is there? I don't know. After all that happened, nothing happened at all. She told me merrily. Oh. What do you mean nothing happened? You'll have a chance to find Lena. Yeah, her insecurity is fucking insane though. I was surprised, but Alisa said it absolutely kindly. As if I need Lena. I wouldn't be so sure. And I am sure. Let me decide for myself. Yes? When did you start to do such silly things? About, I suddenly remember my current age. 17 years ago. Well, admirable. But to be honest, I didn't notice anything like that. What exactly should you have noticed? That you're able to say something without a single doubt. She was absolutely right on this point. And what exactly do you want to hear? You know what? This game of hints could last forever. If you want to know how I feel towards you, then I'll speak frankly. I don't know myself. That's exactly what I'm talking about. Alisa turned away. What can I do? That's the truth. And what can I do? I don't ask anything of you. Yes, are you sure? Sure, I answered after a while. And what were you doing all 7 days in the camp? What was I doing? You were asking, weren't you? What was I asking for? For what reason? Can you talk in a way that people can understand? The mind readers are on vacation. If you wanted to, you would understand it. No, you wouldn't! Speak fucking clearly! I've been in a relationship like this. You have to actually say what the fuck you mean for me to understand. I can't understand without an explanation. It's okay. It's just idle talk. She stood up and went towards the road. No way. I lost my temper completely, so I jumped up, ran up to her in a couple of strides, grabbed her hand and pulled her towards me. Really? But I had miscalculated the amount of strength I should use, and we fell to the ground with Alisa lying beneath me. What? Yesterday wasn't enough? Want more? Her face was glowing, her eyes were flashing. I felt really mixed up. I released the girl's hand, but I didn't stand up at once. I just want to understand. Where did I go wrong? Why are you always thinking that you went wrong somewhere? Because you think so. Who told you that? I didn't. Well, you didn't tell me I did something right either. But I can see it. You see everything, don't you? You see and draw a conclusion that you shouldn't interfere, that you should lie low, say nothing. I draw a conclusion based on logic. Are you sure that logic of yours is correct? I didn't know what to say about that. For some time we just lay there. I was completely confused, and it seemed that Alisa didn't want to continue our conversation. Finally, she pushed me away and stood up. Why are you here now, with me? Because everyone left the camp and we stayed. I'm not talking about that. Well, because I like you. I finally dared to say it, but directly. Are you sure? And what about Lena? She was always next to you. Maybe she's too much work. And what about me? I'm very simple. Yeah, snap your fingers, and I'm in your bed. I wouldn't say it's that simple with her. Don't put words in my mouth. You say nothing, so there's plenty of room there. But you think for a dozen others. Well, she was absolutely right on that point. I didn't think anything like that. So, do I have to just simply believe all of this? You don't have to believe. I'm not forcing you. But it's the truth. So I'm not going to make anything up. Words should be proven with actions. What action is she expecting from me? Well, we could do it again, I said with a stupid smile. I had no idea how I even dared to think of joking in such a situation, especially a joke like that. Sure, come on. Really? Alisa said in a calm voice, walked to the fire and started to undress. I jumped up, ran to her and grabbed her arm. What are you doing? Wait, I didn't mean that. Well, what's the big deal? Then you need me just for that? Ah, Jesus. Fucking victim complex here. She has zero self-respect, no. She believes she is worthless, that no one respects her. Of course not. You got me all wrong. How should I get you then? She pulled her arm free and started crying. I lay down beside her, hugged her and started patting her head. Everything is alright. Calm down. Leave me alone, she said through the tears, but didn't try to free herself. You see, I had a hard life before this camp. I just haven't gotten used to this. I don't know how to act in situations like this. I've been alone for a long time. No friends, no loved ones. I have just forgotten how to feel and how to love. It's hard for me. It's so much easier not to get mixed up in those matters. Finally, it became just normal not to. And here we are. Something I never would have imagined. It doesn't mean that I'm an egotistical bastard. Although I guess it seems that maybe I am. I just can't do that right away. I listened and replied and continued crying. But I know one thing for sure. There's nothing between me and Lena. She's a friend, nothing more. I never looked at her that way. And I need you. Not only for what you think I want. I just don't know how to tell you the things you want to hear. They carry obligations. You see, I am in a kind of situation now where I even don't know what will happen to me in the next hour. And here, Alisa seemed to not be listening to me at all. Or my excuses just didn't reach her. Well, I should be proud of myself. I made a girl cry. And which girl? Alisa, who at first glance seemed to be a complete stranger to any romantic feelings. You know, I can't make this decision for both of us. I can only say for myself that I am ready to be with you, to support you, to protect you. But you? Why do you need me? I have nothing in my soul. I don't know what I want from this life. Besides, I'm here now, but tomorrow I might be gone. Alisa stopped crying for a moment. Don't you understand that I've already made that decision a long time ago? Then she looked up at me with teary eyes. Might have seen happiness in them for a moment. Alisa embraced me and tenderly kissed me. It was the best kiss of my entire life. No, it wasn't as passionate as the one last night, but there was so much tenderness, trust and love that I just dissolved in her lips, in her arms. I forgot about everything, about the camp, about my past and the doubts which were tormenting me a moment before. She was all that I need, now and forever. Son of a bitch! That kiss might have lasted forever, but suddenly a horn sounded nearby, as if from inside my brain. I turned to the road and saw a bus. An old Lias. It looked like a regular one. We just lay and looked at it for some time. Soon, the driver left the bus and shouted at us. Hey, lovebirds! This is the last bus to town. Are you coming? Shall we go? Alisa said merrily. We jumped up, I grabbed the backpack, took Alisa by the hand and ran to the bus. In a couple of seconds, we made ourselves comfortable on the back seats. The driver was shouting something from his place, but I didn't listen to him. Here it is, a rescue ship, heading for a new life. I looked at Alisa. I was so eager to say something, to continue the conversation by the fire. She was sleeping peacefully, resting her head on my shoulder. I didn't wake her up. There was no need. We had so much time ahead of us. There was no one in the bus except us. The bus was going fast, leaving behind not only my previous life, but also the week I had spent in the pioneer camp called Soviet. I went through more during these 7 days than I had throughout all the years of my real life. And how much was still lying ahead in the future? The common country scenery in the window didn't interest me much. I was just watching Alisa peacefully sleeping. My heart was filled with warmth and calmness. My head finally started bursting with thoughts. Oh, is this the good ending? And the other one, where she is successful on her own, is the bad ending, because we didn't end up together. I'm just guessing, but that might be a thing. But happiness is a fragile matter. Many things can destroy it. Time, for example. The longer your happiness lasts, the more common it becomes. Emotions dull, new problems and worries appear. I felt good, but accumulated exhaustion didn't let me enjoy the moment. I fell asleep. Is that the end? Days something, sometime in the future. Okay. It seems I'm getting old. The day was over and the hangover should have been long gone, but I still felt sick and dizzy. Despite how hard I tried, I was unable to open my eyes. It just rolled over. I wonder what awaits me in the district center. How am I to live? Maybe it's not all that bad. Well, sure, I don't know where to begin, but on the other hand, this world doesn't seem hostile. I know a lot of things here. Everyone speaks Russian. So maybe nothing bad is going to happen. Suddenly I felt very sick. Damn it. I thought it was all gone by yesterday evening. I managed to reach the toilet, moving instinctively, so we're back home. After some time, when my dirty business was done, I returned to the room. And then I realized I'm back in my old flat. However, it's not so old. It seems that nothing had changed during the week of my absence. The dust layers haven't even grown thicker. The keyboard position, monitor incline, and the stain from a cup of tea on the table stung my eyes. Theoretically, a man in my condition shouldn't notice such details. But the entire room drew my attention to the most minor of details, as if I was twinkling with different colors. The socks were thrown around in exactly the same manner as they had been before. The blanket sat rumpled on the unmade bed, as it was before. The dirty window showed the same view of the street like a cracked kinescope. What's a kinescope? In vain, I tried to become terrified, or at least scared. Maybe it's shock effect, post-traumatic stress disorder, or something like that. After all, several hours ago I wasn't even thinking of returning to the real world. The pioneer camp, the girls, Alisa, the mythical district center where I would have arrived if I hadn't woken up in my flat. All that had started to seem real to me. Okay, so he never arrived there. Maybe my fantastic vacation to Sovyonok was just a dream. My feet started to rack up circles around the room. I held my hands behind my back and started to think everything over. Only one thing is clear. I returned as suddenly as I arrived there, without any reason or logic. Maybe there was some sort of explanation, but it's beyond my, or human, comprehension. Whether it was a trick by interstellar forces, or supreme mind, or government experiments, I believe the last one to be the least likely, I left no clues. If I was unable to find answers in the camp, it would be foolish to expect things to become clearer here. It's like searching for evidence in a house that's been burned to ashes. Even if a crime was committed, all the evidence was destroyed by fire. Maybe if I had the skills and equipment of a criminologist I could find something, but the memories of the week spent in the camp are all I've got. But it wasn't a dream. I knew it for sure. My hangover was absolutely real. My feelings and emotions were genuine, not just the stuff of dreams. Therefore, I've been there. I spent a week in the Sovyonok pioneer camp with the camp leader and the pioneers. With Alisa. Memories of her made me sigh. It would have been great to leave with her. Wait a minute. What's wrong with me? I should be glad I returned home, to the real world. Or shouldn't I? For now, I just couldn't evaluate the situation reasonably. I couldn't understand whether I wanted to stay there or to enjoy my long-awaited return. I noticed a 5-ruble coin on the table. I took it and began to toss it up without any purpose, counting the numbers of heads and tails. A long time ago, maybe even in school, I heard that in an infinite number of coin tosses, the probabilities are not equal to 50% each. Maybe it's because the coin doesn't have a perfect shape or weight, or because of some other reason. However, after some time I counted 70 heads and 71 tails. So the theory of relativity lies. But I'm not the man to judge it. I don't know much about it. I recall my childhood, when I had heard the word tails for the first time. For some reason, it always made me think of squirrels. Maybe there is a logic in this. A squirrel does indeed have a tail. Now this theory seems strange to me, but at the same time I couldn't find any conclusive evidences to disprove it. So, does it mean that squirrels come out more frequently than heads? What? Oh dude, whoever wrote this is a freaking philosophy wizard. A major in philosophy. Dude, what the hell? Well, one must consider that a squirrel has a head as well, so I yanked on my hair and sighed, exhausted. Now's not the time for thinking of such rubbish. On the other hand, what is now the right time for? What can I do? What is under my control? If I hadn't bothered trying to find answers during the week there, what would be the point of thinking now? Maybe I should just try to go back to my ordinary life. The words ordinary life were painful to me. Why did I choose that specific word? I could have said past, former, or something else. I guess because it was what I was used to. That's the most obvious answer. As I say, what you get used to becomes second nature to you. Instantly, all of last week's events floated before my eyes. Did I really want to stay there so badly? Was just 1 week enough for me to get used to Olga Dmitrievna's picking on me all the time, Uliana's prank and joking around, or Alisa's cheekiness and mockery? I had no answer to this question, but it was obvious that I already miss it. Although I'm sure I'll never return there. Really? Obviously, I can't tell whether the force that brought me there might want to entertain itself again. And again. And again. It is possible. But for now, I have what I have, an adventure that I'll remember for the rest of my life. Damn it, how many people get to experience something like that? Even books, even dramas about such things are unthinkable. Oh, he said dreams, not dramas. Whatever. The main thing is that it wasn't Dr. Moreau's evil island, but a normal Soviet pioneer camp with normal pioneers. And its commonness was overlaid by the astonishing origins of my arrival there. Anyway, it wasn't the worst experience of my life. Perhaps it was one of the best. Obviously, it's sad that everything has ended halfway through, but every story has an end. It's good that it has ended that way. Who knows what else could have happened? Ooh! Dreams Nero or something. What's this? Time passed. The events that took place in the camp now seem more like a fascinating novel I once read. No, I haven't forgotten them. I could recall them in the finest detail. I remember how as a child I used to lie under a blanket with a flashlight and read a fascinating book about spaceflight until dawn. Sometimes I was unable to get up to go to school. My parents always used to scold me for that, but with every night approaching, I would carefully turn every page, trying to absorb every minor detail of the story. I had similar feelings about the pioneer camp. Reality, if I can consider it such, now seemed more like a book. I didn't think it was bad at all. In the end, the main thing is to remember, and it is not important whether these memories take the form of a slideshow, photos, video, or audio. Now each bus made me feel both fear and hope. At first I circled around the 410 route without purpose. Several times I fell asleep on the same seat. But nothing happened, not even a trace of something supernatural. As times went by, I stopped these adult trips. Something changed me in my life. I just couldn't do otherwise. A couple of weeks after my return from the camp, I took up my guitar that was lying lonely, gathering dust in a corner. Striking a couple of chords, I remembered Alisa. For me, her image was inseparable from the instrument. At first, it didn't work out very well. Maybe I just had no talent for music. I started reading teach-yourself books and watching video lessons. On the other hand, all that effort wasn't a burden anymore. I just played the chords and polished my skill. And as with any kind of activity, including music, practice makes perfect. About half a year later, I realized that I'd achieved some results. At least I could now smoothly play parts of my favorite songs. Satisfied with my progress, I put a couple of advertisements on music forums, intending to form my own band. I still had no idea what kind of music I wanted to play. My taste varied from something really heavy to anime soundtracks. At first it seemed impossible for me. I would have to communicate with strangers. And what if we are just too different? And anyway, how do I explain to others what music I want to make? But it all worked out much easier. The potential candidates turned out to be not so frightening, and our tastes were mostly the same. After all, we shared the same goals, so issues stemming from the lack of understanding could be resolved. And soon, we had a band. Suddenly, I discovered my talent as a composer. Oh, really? Having spent entire days and nights on a note editor and sequencer, I started composing okayish things, at least in the opinions of the other band members and pals I showed my songs to. Quite soon, we gave our first concert. A D-list club and not significantly more spacious than my bedroom. 3.5 viewers who weren't exactly sober. I was hellishly anxious and the sound equipment was constantly malfunctioning. But all of that didn't bother me because I was happy. Since this was just the first step to success. However, it was a long time before we were invited again. With great difficulty, we managed to record 3 tracks and publish them on the internet. The reviews were far from ecstatic, but it didn't bother me much. It was just the beginning. Maybe some consider our music just a leisure activity or a brief fixation, but for me, it was serious. After all, it was me who founded the band and all the music was mine as well. I felt a personal responsibility for the fate of my creation. Even spare moments I spent on improving my performance technique, and after a year I could already confidently say that I wasn't the worst guitarist in the world. Then some sort of popularity came. We were giving concerts almost every week and we were finally getting paid. It wasn't important that it was just 500 rubles per man. The fact that our work was in demand and someone was ready to pay for it, even though we were usually a warm-up for other bands, was what mattered. I was sitting before my monitor, torturing a guitar. The date of an upcoming concert was thickly circled on the computer desktop calendar. The very thought of that gave me goosebumps. It will be the first time we will be the headliners. And we'll have an album presentation as well. Ooh. I wonder how many discs would be sold. Of course the CD era is already over, but there are still some who appreciate it. Yeah, and now we're back to vinyl. Is that what it's called in English? I think so. And maybe some will buy it just to support the band. I looked at the date once more. Yes, it is exactly a year since I returned from Sovjonok. My smile reflected in the darkened monitor screen. I wonder whether Alisa would like my music if she existed in this world. Don't think so. She preferred Soviet rock classics. But who knows? I played a couple of complicated guitar parts and concluded, with a feeling of satisfaction, that the sound of my guitar surpassed by far that of the Soviet Ural guitars, and my skill has overcome that of the guitarists of the same era. I wonder whether I would have achieved all this without those fantastic events. Unlikely. Nothing strange about that. Lots of people rethink their life after stepping close to the edge. Sure, nothing dangerous happened back then, but a psychological shock is a good substitute for grave danger. I rehearsed my part once more, put the guitar into a case, packed all my stuff and headed to the exit. It was cold outside, just like that day. And the image is animated! Oh! How pretty! Very small animation, but still. It was cold outside, just like that day. Slowly, I approached the bus stop for the 410. Such a coincidence. I'm going to the club on this very same bus. With a shrinking heart, I counted down the seconds. Soon the bus arrived. It idly opened its doors and swallowed up a few passengers. Yeah, no, this is the ending I was talking about. I still don't know if this is good or bad. I think it's bad because we are not together. I don't remember, I need to really double check that. It was a winter night just like back then. Cars flashed by outside with their headlights igniting the city as it got ready to sleep. The closer we got to the downtown area, the more people there were in the streets. Some of them were chatting merrily, some were perusing magnificent boutique windows, and some were hurrying somewhere, paying no attention to anything. This day, I had no wish to return to that camp. Any other time maybe, but not today. I must play the concert, and the rest can go to hell. I had a clear aim and nothing else mattered. The club was considerably bigger than the one that we played our first concert in, but at the moment it was empty. Soundcheck was going on. I couldn't hear the drums through the monitor loudspeakers, which I desperately tried to tell the sound guy about. Sound tuned, gadgets installed, set list all prepared, ready to rock. But it is a special day. We're not doing the warm-up. The other guys are doing the warm-up before our concert. Thus, our entrance is last. As I listened to the first band, I noted that they had a lot of improving to do. On the other hand, we were no better not so long ago. As the time got closer to the start of our performance, my tension grew enormous. Come on, I was literally shaking with anxiety. I decided not to listen to the other band and to wait calmly in the dressing room. Judging by their expressions, my mates were in the same mood. We were silent. Actually, we had nothing to talk about. Our parts were learned and perfected a long time ago. Only nervousness could hinder us, but we already have some experience, so everything will be fine. At least, I comforted myself with this thought. And now, finally, the time has come. I don't remember how we entered the stage and greeted the audience. My consciousness turned on when the first chorus of our first song came from the speaker. While sitting in the makeup room, I desperately tried to warm up my ice-cold fingers, but now they ran from string to string without the slightest mistake, as if they were charmed. A thought flashed across my mind. Why didn't I still make a single mistake? When I played all these parts at home or during rehearsals, I never thought about it. Everything seemed a matter of course. But now, when I stood in front of an audience, it felt different. Somewhere deep in my mind there was a thought that soon my fingers would slip, and thank goodness the thinking didn't interfere with my playing. Our performance was nearing the end, and now it was time for the difficult solo I'd been learning for so long. By that point my nervousness had vanished, and I played through it perfectly, even better than during the rehearsals. Finally, our performance was over, and the concert hall burst with applause. I smiled awkwardly, at least I thought so, and bowed several times with the rest of the band. They shouted encore to us. Even without them shouting, I would have been glad to play something else, but we ran out of songs as we were just a newly formed band. Euphoria prevailed in the dressing room, and we congratulated and hugged each other. The sounds of opening champagne bottles echoed in the halls. All our discs had been sold, which made me even happier. Finally, I managed to become something too. It's impossible to predict the future of our band, or of the whole affair with music. But one thing was clear. I have finally found something I am interested in, and can dedicate my entire life to. As well as that, I can see that I may be able to make people other than me happy too. I was probably now the happiest man on earth. At least, it was surely the best moment in my life. The club is empty, instruments are packed, and I am too waiting for the others so we can go home. Yeah, there she is. Look at her. Several years later, you know. Hey. I turned around and saw a girl standing nearby. Her tone wasn't too polite, but it wasn't hostile either. I liked your performance. Thanks. The darkness of the club prevented me from clearly seeing her face, but I was sure that it was extremely familiar to me. And you? I stepped forward. Exactly. It was Alisa. I froze on the spot, unable to speak. What about me? Nothing. I just thought I'd seen you somewhere. I decided not to jump at her with questions about a pioneer camp. After all, it's possible that this girl merely looks like her. Or something like that. Anyway, it was obvious that she was seeing me for the first time. Or at least was pretending to. Well, generally it's true. She peered. My name is Semyon. Forcing an artificial smile, I offered her my hand. I actually know that. How? Read it on the internet? Oh, so you've been checking him out before this? Yes, of course. And you are... Alisa. She replied somewhat confusedly. So I was right. But how right was I? Listen, did you ever go to a pioneer camp as a child? No. Why are you asking? It just seemed that I'd met you there. How could you have met me there if I've never been there? Still just as cheeky and weird as always. She laughed. Yes, all of you musicians are somehow strange. No doubt. Well, I just wanted to say that your music is not too bad. Alisa turned to leave. I felt that I need to do something. Say something. Will you come to our next concert? When? To be honest, I had no idea myself. Soon. Yes, maybe. Send me a message. Yeah, sure. We shared our contact details with each other. Then I'll see you again, probably. So in this world, she never was a musician. She waved her hand and went out. Obviously, I have no idea if she was that very same Alisa I met in the camp. Any number of theories were nullified by an absolute absence of facts. But at that moment, it was the last thing that concerned me, as if I was filled with emotions, both from the concert and meeting Alisa. After all, nothing prevented me from calling her, and then we'll see. I smiled, shouldered my guitar and started walking to the 410 bus stop with my mates. Is this the end? Nope. Yeah, it is. Every story has its beginning and its end. Every story has its own outline, synopsis, content, key points and prologue and an epilogue. And there is no book which, if you read it again, would not reveal new details you didn't notice before. Every story has a beginning and its end. Almost every. And that is the first ending for Alisa. Oh yeah, there we see. Are you gonna tell me if it's good or bad ending? Please let me know. But yeah, otherwise I'll just have to really check it out. But yeah, we're getting the Alisa gallery now. But yeah, it seems like she's a completely different person in this reality. And let's see here. The fact that she existed in the Camp Sovyonok in the dream was just a way for me to become interested in music. So that I could possibly get to know her in the real world. Like a self-fulfilling prophecy sort of thing. I needed something to kick me in the butt to get me moving. And that way, by doing that, I could possibly get the girl. That is what it seems like anyway. As I said, I still don't know if this was a good or bad ending, but I'm still gonna name it one or the other. So we'll see what happens if I get a better or a worse ending in the next video. Well, thank you guys for watching, and if you guys want to help me out, you can do so by clicking the link down in the description. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next one. Goodbye everyone.